Hey guys, welcome to Y&R Daily Update YouTube channel. Today's topics. Y&R The Rinse December 16th. Victor controls the narrative as Phyllis realizes she's trapped. Phyllis thought she had negotiated her way into control. Instead, she learned Victor had already moved past her, and the AI leaving her boxed into a deal she can't escape. In the December 16 episode of The Young and the Restless, the real damage from Victor's public strike against Jabba became clear, not in what he did next, but in how completely he controlled what came after. While Jack scrambled to contain fallout and Newman Media tracked the reaction, Phyllis finally understood the truth. The deal she made to secure her future had stripped her of all leverage. Key takeaways: Phyllis realizes Victor has changed the terms of their deal and left her with no leverage. Victor makes it clear he no longer needs the AI to control the situation or her. Phyllis understands too late that she is trapped inside Victor's long game. What happened? Phyllis confronts Victor and learns the deal is over. Phyllis Michelle Stafford came face to face with Victor Eric Bredin after the hit piece on Jabba exploded across Newman Media, and she didn't waste time getting to the point. She wanted answers. The shutdown story wasn't supposed to happen this way, and it certainly wasn't supposed to leave her empty-handed. Victor didn't deny what he'd done. He barely acknowledged it as a betrayal at all. From his perspective, Jack's Peter Bergman decision to take Jabba offline changed the board, and he simply adapted. The AI wasn't needed anymore. Public perception would do the damage just fine. That's when the reality sank in for Phyllis. The leverage she thought she had, the AI, the promise of control, the idea that Victor needed her was gone. She accused him of rewriting the deal and leaving her with nothing to run, nothing to gain, and no protection. Victor, unmoved, offered only vague reassurance and his word, the same currency Phyllis has trusted before and paid for dearly. By the time the conversation ended, it was clear the truth she didn't want to face. Victor had already won, and Phyllis was trapped in a deal that now only benefited him. Why it matters. Victor exposes the truth Phyllis tried to ignore. For Phyllis, this confrontation wasn't just about Jabba or bad press, it was about control. She entered the deal with Victor, believing she had leverage, believing the AI gave her power and a future she could claim once Jack fell. December 16th shattered that illusion. Victor made it painfully clear that he never needed Phyllis as a partner. She was just a means to an end. Once Jack shut Jabba down, the AI became irrelevant, and so did she. The narrative did the work Victor wanted, and he retained absolute authority over how and when it was deployed. For Victor, this moment reaffirmed his favorite truth. Deals are only binding for the weaker party. He didn't break his word in his own mind. Circumstances changed, and he adjusted. Phyllis wasn't outplayed by chance. She was outplayed because Victor never intended for her to gain real power. The fallout. Phyllis is cornered by the man she never should have trusted. Phyllis left Victor's orbit, realizing the truth far too late. The deal she thought protected her no longer existed. Victor had already achieved what he wanted without cashing in the AI, and that meant he no longer needed her loyalty, silence, or cooperation. The leverage Phyllis believed she held vanished the moment the hit piece went public. Worse, Victor didn't reassure her because he didn't have to. His calm wasn't confidence, it was dismissal. By controlling the narrative around Jabba, he ensured Phyllis was tied to the fallout without any guarantee of the payoff she was promised. If Jabba collapses, there's nothing for her to run. If it survives, Victor still holds the weapon that implicates her. Phyllis now stands in a dangerous middle ground. The Abbotts are closing in. Daniel Michael Graciad already senses she's hiding something, and Victor has every incentive to let the consequences land where they may. Phyllis isn't playing both sides. She's exposed to all of them. That's never a good place for Phyllis, and what she does next is bound to be explosive. Subscribe our channel for more latest update on The Young and the Restless. December 16th delivered a classic reminder of why Victor Newman remains the most dangerous man in Genoa City, not because he always wins outright, but because he decides how the story gets told. In this episode of The Rinse, Victor doesn't just maneuver events behind the scenes. He actively shapes perception, locking others into roles that serve him. And no one feels the weight of that control more acutely than Phyllis Summers, who slowly and painfully realizes she's no longer playing the game. She's inside it, with no clean exit. Victor's greatest weapon has never been brute force, it's narrative dominance. He understands that in Genoa City, truth is malleable, loyalty is conditional, and whoever defines the story defines the outcome. On December 16th, Victor isn't scrambling to fix a problem. He's calmly arranging the chessboard so that every possible move benefits him. Others react. Victor authors. Phyllis Meanwhile, enters the episode still clinging to the belief that she has leverage. That belief is the residue of her long history as a survivor, a strategist, and a woman who refuses to see herself as powerless. But the slow burn of this episode strips that illusion away. Scene by scene, Phyllis begins to understand that Victor hasn't just outplayed her, he's anticipated her, contained her, and positioned her exactly where he wants her to be. What makes this realization so devastating is that it doesn't come with a single explosive reveal. There's no dramatic confession, no villain monologue. Instead, the truth creeps in through Victor's calm confidence. He's already steps ahead. He's already spoken to the right people. He's already framed events in a way that makes Phyllis's version of reality irrelevant. That's when it hits her. She can't argue her way out of this. She can't spin it. And worst of all, she can't expose him without destroying herself in the process. Victor's control of the narrative works because it's rooted in plausibility. He doesn't need lies that are airtight, he just needs stories that are believable enough to stick. Phyllis understands this too late. Even if she tells the truth, it will sound even if she warns others, Victor has already positioned her as unstable, reactive, or compromised. The trap isn't physical, it's reputational. This is where the rinse excels as a storytelling device. Rather than rushing Phyllis' downfall, the episode lets us sit with her dawning panic. The audience watches her connect the dots in real time. And the horror comes not from what Victor might do next, but from what he's already done. The damage is preemptive. The narrative is sealed. Phyllis' tragedy here isn't stupidity, it's hubris. She believed she could partner with Victor without becoming subordinate to him. She believed mutual benefit existed in a dynamic defined by domination. December 16th exposes the flaw in that logic. Victor does not share power. He distributes consequences. The moment Phyllis became useful, she also became expendable. What's particularly sharp about this episode is how it contrasts Victor's composure with Phyllis' emotional unraveling. Victor doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't threaten. He simply states, and every statement reinforces the same message. This is already decided. That quiet certainty is far more chilling than rage. It tells Phyllis and the audience that resistance is not only futile, it's anticipated. Phyllis' realization that she's trapped reframes her entire arc leading up to this point. Her earlier confidence now reads as tragic irony. Her belief that she could control the damage now looks like denial. And yet, the show resists turning her into a victim. Phyllis is still sharp, still aware, still dangerous, but awareness without power is its own kind of prison. Victor, of course, thrives in moments like this. December 16th reinforces why he remains untouchable after decades on canvas. He doesn't just win conflicts, he survives eras. While others fight battles, Victor builds systems that ensure he doesn't have to. By the time his opponents realize what's happening, they're already inside the framework he designed. The episode also raises an unsettling question. Is escape even possible once Victor controls the narrative? History suggests it rarely is. Characters who challenge Victor successfully usually do so by shifting the story entirely, not by confronting him. For Phyllis, that option may no longer exist. Her credibility is compromised, her alliances are shaky, and Victor has made sure that any move she makes looks like confirmation of the story he's already told. Emotionally, this puts Phyllis in one of the most precarious positions she's ever faced. She's not just fighting Victor, she's fighting inevitability. That's a far more exhausting battle. And while Phyllis has escaped impossible situations before, December 16th makes it clear that this time, the cost of escape may be higher than she's prepared to pay. The rinse ends not with resolution, but with dread. Victor stands exactly where he wants to be, calm and Phyllis stands somewhere new, aware, cornered, and furious. That fury may yet explode, but December 16th makes one thing clear. Victor isn't afraid of Phyllis's anger. He's already written the ending he expects. Whether Phyllis can rip up that script remains the looming question. But as of December 16th, The Young and the Restless reminds us of a brutal truth. In Genoa City, power doesn't just decide outcomes, it decides reality. And right now, Victor Newman owns it.